Welcome to Finance Matters, a production of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. I'm your host, Daniel Pasley, and today we'll be speaking to Commissioner Dr. Deloree Staple-Chambers of the Revenue Appeals Division. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for coming back on our program.
Thank you, Daniel. It's good to be here.
So in our last episode, we spoke about the mandate of the Revenue Appeals Division, the tax types, and also a little synopsis of what happened last year as regards to the breakdown of the tax types. But today, I want to delve into a little bit more about some of the initiatives and also some of the upcoming initiatives of the Revenue Appeals Division, as well as what is the taxpayer, or should I say the person who is appealing the tax type, what's their obligation? What are they supposed to do?
Okay, well, in terms of managing the appeals process, the taxpayer is the one who has the burden under the appeals legislation in proving their case. So the one who is complaining of the decision needs to prove that the decision, something is wrong with the decision. And so in managing that obligation, there are certain things that the taxpayer needs to do. And so the very first issue that they need to be wary of is what the grounds of the appeal is. And so in appealing, they need to be very specific in what is, in stating or articulating what is wrong with the decision of the commissioner of either TAJ or JCA. So they need to state, stipulate or to set out exactly what is wrong. So for example, they could, one example could be that the income was overstated by the commissioner,
Right.
or that their expenses, the genuine expenses that they incur were not taken into account in establishing their assessment or their tax liability. So that's the grounds. The next thing that they need to pay attention to is having evidence to support the claim that they're making. In assessing someone's tax obligation, you need to have source documents that evidenced the transactions that needs to be considered in arriving at the tax liability.
What are some of these source documents?
So these source documents would include invoices. So for your sales invoices, for purchases, those invoices, or business expenses, the invoices that were incurred in that you got from the suppliers of services, right, that went into earning your income. On the customs side, you need to have your invoices from your suppliers overseas, payment records to establish how much you pay for these goods to determine the value to be used to arrive at the customs duties. So those things need to be intact. You also need to have good accounting record that follows generally accepted accounting practices. So your general ledgers, your journals, your financial statements, they need to be accordance to generally accepted accounting practices. And the last thing is that they need to attend on the hearing process. Now, the hearing could be a formal hearing at RAD, or it could be an informal one where the appeals officer calls you on the phone, asks you to submit information via email, or have just one-on-one meetings with you or the relevant tax department. When that process is convened, when it starts, you need to be involved and to attend the meetings that are scheduled, and to make your submissions and to support your case. If you fail in any of these, then you are setting up yourself to fail at the appeal process.
Right.
And so your complaint will not be addressed to your satisfaction. So these are some of the things that the taxpayer needs to do to ensure that the appeal process goes in their favor. All right. The next thing is that we, as an appellate body, need to ensure that we are providing good service, because the turnaround time of the appeal process is one way in the government being measured in terms of service provision and managing its awesome power in being able to assess taxes on people. So our mandate at RAD is to ensure that we are timely and efficient in how we handle the cases. Now, some of those things are within our control, others are not. The ones that are not in our control are the side that relates to the taxpayer or the respondent. If we have to wait an inordinate long time for you to supply information, then it's going to impede the turnaround time. So we have the authority under the law to give you extended time, but within reason. if that information is not forthcoming in the time that we allow, then we are obligated under the law to make a ruling on what we currently have. So if you don't give us all the information within the specified time, then the information that we will be using will just be based on what is before us. And so we may not have some pertinent information which could switch the balance in your favor. So it is good that the appellant make sure they have all information, prepare themselves when they plan to appeal, make sure that they use the time that they are waiting to be called to get all the information together, collate, and have them ready to serve their appeal process.
And if persons want to file an appeal, how can they do so? But
Well,
just before we wrap up.
Yes, the appeal process begins with you submitting the RA01 form. That's the Revenue Appeals 01 form that sets out all the information that you need to supply to the RAD for consideration. That includes your grounds of appeal, the list of information or documents that you have, if you have a representative, who that person is, authorizing them to act on your behalf, and so on. You complete that along with a copy of the decision that you're complaining of, and you submit that to the RAD offices at 12 Ocean Boulevard, Kingston.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, for coming on the program and sharing this pertinent information.
Thank you, Daniel.
So thank you for watching this edition of Finance Matters. I'm Daniel Pasley, and we will see you next time.